We don't have a name for this podcast yet, guys.
I think we're on the wrong couches. You're the host of this podcast, right? Seems like the host should have his own couch.
I mean, I was kind of thinking of just being in the middle of you guys.
I feel like chopped liver over here, honestly.
Well, you look good. This is your color, dude.
Yeah, but I'm also on the dog hair couch. I'm pretty sure this is Leela's
lint rollered it, dude.
couch.
I went through 8 lint roller sheets.
You did
for this couch for you, dude.
8?
No cap. Yeah.
I believe you. I believe you because there's still a ton of dog hair on here.
Oh, shoot. Well, hey, welcome to the first ever podcast by us, TheFloatLife. We still haven't figured out a name, so hopefully by the end of this episode, we'll have a name. We've talked about the pod life. We've talked about Floatopia. We've had a couple other ideas.
I think was kicked in there.
It was talked about, but I think we want to take that for another idea. I don't know. What's a good name? What do you think?
Popping off the top of my head, I like Floatopia because it just not only dates back to our amazing little Camp Seek and Shred casino theme we had going, as you can see behind us.
Yep.
But Floatopia has got a good ring, but I feel like we might be able to batch something a little bit better.
So, history-wise, Floatopia rings casino for you because Floatopia was a thing even before casinos, right. Nick Sanfilippo's backyard. You remember that. Flotation right. Number 1.
The sickest one-wheel skate park I ever rode. First one-wheel skate park I ever... Well, did I ride that before Zach's backyard?
I have no idea when you rode Zach's backyard.
Yeah, when was
Zach
that?
From Badfish.
Zach from Badfish in Salida. Yeah, he built one of the first parks, but I think Nick might have beat him to it. Yeah, did you ever see those clips from back in the day of Jeff and I on that green wooden structure?
Is it like
the down
Hold
slide?
on a second. Fun fact about Zach that I don't think a lot of people know. He was the first person ever to nose slide a one wheel.
Yeah, he was the first to it, huh?
Yeah, he did it, and I saw it and went, yeah, I'm doing that. That's my trick now, homie.
And then you're like, wait, this doesn't work quite well. I need to make something to make this slide
it's not
better.
Great. I think he had a little 4x4 in his backyard coming off the quarter pipe, and he like ramped up the quarter pipe, back nose slid it down, landed it bolts, and it just unlocked everything.
My first nose slide was a front nose on that.
No shit.
Yeah.
Wow. Hey, how about that? That's why you can do it.
I just saw that clip the other day. That's such a sick spot.
A little trip down memory lane right there. I haven't seen Zach in a minute.
Shout out Zach, dude. What a OG shredder.
Okay, correct me. Okay, no, I'm wrong. Didn't Mike win Race for the Rail the first year they opened it up? Or it was Zach?
Zach is the first Race for the Rail winner.
Dude, Zach gets no respect. First ever Race for the Rail winner when they opened it up to the public, not counting the Golden Gate Park one that was internal only.
Yep.
And then first ever nose slide.
Yep.
And then showed us a great time night riding trails in Salida with flashlights, the sketchiest trails of all time.
Yep.
And then completely disappeared for like 7 years.
Pioneered river surfing during all that too. Throw that thing in.
There you go.
I haven't seen him or heard from him. We've texted a couple times back and forth, but Zach is definitely one of the one-wheel OGs.
Zach, if you're out there, call me. I miss you.
Oh man, well yeah. So this is it. This is the pod. We've talked about doing it forever. Jeff is not super keen on the idea.
I think there's too many podcasts.
He's here by force.
I can't even keep up. I was busy working in my office, and Bodie dragged me in here. I told him we got 30 minutes, so let's go. He drugged me up with some coffee, so here we are.
But hey, it's about time we all sit down and start having some conversations because there's some really awesome and interesting and eclectic people in the one-wheel community, including ourselves, and there's a lot to be talked about. And you know, podcasts are fun way to just get people together. So our plan is to do a little bit of more of this. We've got our homie Colton in the mix helping us out engineering. And we want to have, when people come through town, we're going to have them in for conversations after big events, talk about product releases. We essentially want to get more personal with you guys and just break it down and have some conversations. So this is it. We're here. Welcome to the pod.
Welcome.
Lige, how do you feel about it? You're a big podcast listener. What are your main podcasts?
I mean, I used to watch a bunch of them when I used to work back in the warehouse because It's a good way to pass time while you're just, packing screw packs and whatnot. But I would say some of the few that kind of stuck out to me that I like to listen to, which are like nothing informational, nothing important at all. They're all just like strictly comedy podcasts, is Tiger Belly with Bobby Lee and Bad Friends, Bobby Lee, Andrew Santino. Those are like the two main ones that I kind of stuck with recently. But nowadays, I mean, every now and then I'll pop in, see you on Scott Mendenhall's podcast, and listen to that. And yeah, I haven't had the time to pretty much invest in podcasts, but editing.
Well, here we are.
Editing.
Yeah.
Got to focus on that.
Yeah, when you go from the warehouse to the editing bay, it's the entertainment changes. You got to just focus.
You make the entertainment.
Cut. Yeah, now you're making the entertainment. Well, yeah, I as far as podcasts go, I definitely enjoy Theo Vaughn's podcast. I think that dude is hilarious, and you never know what stories are true and what aren't, and he's just always got just the bangers. So hopefully we can bring you guys a little bit of laughs, a little bit of comedy, a little bit of information along the lines of One Wheel. But I want to get ourselves into a little conversation topic here, and I had one in mind, and I think we can go ahead and start chatting. And I got a question for you guys.
And we have no idea what this question is. I asked Bodie what he was going to ask me about. He refused to tell me.
Zero idea.
This will be fun.
This will be super fun, guys. It's going to get really inappropriate.
Yo, do you have one of those magic robot? Dude, we are doing some nostalgia throwback stuff today for sure. Sir. Shout out Adam, Magic Robots. Adam. That is, if you understand what that logo is, then you've been one-wheeling for a long time.
That's the homie right there. One time this dude made a hoodie of, it was my body silhouette doing a bollie and Kyle Taylor's hair from him doing a bollie. And he combined Kyle Taylor's hair with my body and was in like robot form with this big cityscape behind it. And yeah, dude, awesome OG artist from the original early One Wheel community. So I want to talk to you guys about group rides.
Okay.
Because I feel like, there's three main pillars of One Wheel. You've got the trail riding, you got the freestyle riding, and you've got group rides. Or I guess you could also say in commuting. 4 pillars.
Yeah, vibing out,
is a solid
man.
structure. Yeah, commuting, vibing out. And I think a lot of our viewers, a lot of riders are big group ride enthusiasts because getting together with other people in your city, planning out rides is a good time. So I just want to talk group rides and ask, Jeff, what was the last group ride that you were at?
Oh, you're calling me out right now. It's been a while since I was on a group ride, probably. I would think maybe when we had Braille here.
The Braille ride, that was
maybe
hella
the last
fun.
group ride. That was a pretty good time.
What's
Had a blast on that?
What's your favorite group ride you've ever been to that you can think of? You think it is too.
There was every time we do Meals on One Wheels and we do that group ride afterward, that's always a great time. We had a really fun one in LA fairly recent-ishly.
That one was sick.
That was probably a while ago, man. Time is flying for me lately because stuff is crazy, but
Jeff's very busy raising a child and taking care of 15 horses and this entire business. So
16 horses.
16. It's hard to pull into the rides lately,
yeah. But no, that was really fun one in LA. And then the Let It Ride from last year, I don't know if you remember that group ride, but dropping down all the way down through that drainage ditch.
Yep.
And then you did that crazy tail butter back 3 nose grab.
Yeah.
Bolts.
Dude.
Filmed it in slow-mo.
That canal was so sick.
That's a clip that we need to get for the shorts for sure. Dig that clip up because that's a banger of a clip.
Post it.
We're Shorts brand now. So, yeah, I don't know. Those were all fun group rides, I'd say. It's tough to choose a favorite. Yeah. And then Gold Country One Wheel, shout out. They almost every Tuesday have a Taco Tuesday group ride, which was originally getting tacos. There's very few tacos anymore, which is a shame. But, yeah, they do a fun group ride every single week. So if you're around Sacramento, Auburn, Folsom area, go check that out. That's a great time. Gold Country One Wheel on Facebook is probably the best spot to go.
Definitely. Yeah, I think my favorite ride that I can think of, I spent most of the ride on top of my truck, actually. was the Halloween ride last year, the Halloween Flux ride.
I can't believe you guys didn't get arrested.
I know.
How did you not get arrested on that group ride? We have a video of that group ride, right?
Gosh.
Oh, yeah.
Is Halloween 2021?
No, it was last year. It was 22. Yeah.
No.
This
right?
is 22, my guy.
This is 2022. We haven't been there yet.
Oh, we haven't been to Halloween 22 yet. Halloween
Fun
21.
fact, Bodie's actually a time-traveling sage.
Yeah.
He travels throughout the years, so he has trouble keeping up where he traveled to last. But yeah, I think it was the 2021 Halloween Flux group ride. I didn't make it. Thank God. It looked too crazy for me. But that was a wild one. So you guys had full DJ booth set up in the back of your truck, right?
Yep. Yeah, we had Connor, Circadian Riff of Bass Waffles, fully DJ'd up in the back of my truck. We had 2 PA speakers. I think there was a sub under him. His whole turntables in the back, and then him and his girlfriend in the bed of the truck with Jenny's sticking off the back of the truck, just bumping bass music. And then we had about, I think, 300 something.
I think it was pushing like almost 5 because there was a assortment of PEVs. There was like tons of bikes, Super 73s, Surons, and then unicycles, scooters, the whole shabeel.
It was the fattest, just like flash mob of lights and people and music, and yeah, I jumped up on the roof of the car and I was filming it. I think that was a fun one because like one of my favorite parts of group rides is when you have like a huge group. You're able to just do whatever. Like the laws kind of dissolve a little bit.
Red lights? What are those?
Yeah, what are those, dude? Like, there's way too many human lives here.
Blockers in the intersection. We call it a day.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, what do you think would be your favorite group ride?
I mean, the Halloween group ride, definitely 21 for sure, will always have a staple in my mind because that one was surreal. It was like being on a one wheel. If you were at the back of the pack, you were pushing as hard as you could to try to get to the front. It was going to take forever, like, because it would slow down due to traffic and whatnot, but it stretched for I don't know what. Like, I don't know. I'm not good on distance gauging, but, like, it was.
We definitely had, like, 3 blocks of people.
Yeah, it was a lot. And then you're, like, weaving through people. So that one definitely was up there on my list for one of the best. But I have to say another good tiebreaker for that is 2021 4th of July in LA, because we started, I believe, at the shop, at the Flux shop, which RIP the Flux shop, it's not there anymore. I mean, it's a different location, but and then we cruised all the way to Echo Park, and we went to that mountain, and we were just standing on top of the mountain with a speaker, partying down, looking every direction, and there was fireworks going off as far as you could see. So that one definitely has a good little staple in my mind.
What do you guys think makes like a good group ride? What do you think are like the key features to a good, enjoyable group ride?
A little bit, and this is a hard one, especially with one-wheelers, but a little bit of organization. A little bit, just because like sometimes you don't even know where you're going, you get lost, and if you're in the back or like people get left in the back, they'll sometimes get left behind, and then trying to relink with them. So like the smallest little bit of like, even as far as like putting out a map or whatever, being like, this is the route we're going. Yep. Pay attention. Like we'll have this stop, that, and also the vibes, like music. Float Pack always provides the vibe. So like music and I don't know, just the community itself as well.
Oh yeah, no question.
But
yeah, I think the map thing is so key, and it's pretty easy too to put a map out for rides. Like you can literally screenshot like Google Maps or Apple Maps and draw on it with your finger. One time we actually, Floaty McFly figured out that you can go on Google and like draw in a route, and then you can send that link around, and when you click on the link, it shows your dot and the route, and like you can follow the route. So that's definitely, I agree. I think organization is super key, because I think what can make for a bad group ride, the main thing is when everybody just is totally split up, and it's like especially hard through towns with like stoplights and all that stuff. So I think having planned routes is super key, and like stopping to let the groups catch up and having a good like stopping pace is, I think, super duper strong. What else do you think makes for a solid group ride, Jeff?
Yeah, you guys nailed it with checkpoints. I haven't been on a group ride one time where the whole entire crew didn't get separated from each other. That happens like every single time. Another thing that's good is people who are experienced in group rides actually knowing what to do, like having someone block traffic is really nice because that can help with people not getting separated too. Because when you go through stoplights, not everyone's making it through the stoplight. So if you can have someone blocking or like multiple group leaders or someone specifically bringing up the rear, because you're always going to have newbies at the group rides or people that are stuck on pints that can't keep up and, you know, that kind of stuff. So, yeah, having like designating a few people as leaders to be like, yo, you got front, you take middle, you take rear, and a little bit of organization, which never happens. But if you have a little bit, that's super helpful. Yeah,
absolutely. But yeah, I think group rides are key, man, and they're a really cool way for like new one-wheel riders to come meet the community. So definitely pull up to your local group rides, and if your local community doesn't have group rides, be the one to start it, or get together with a couple of your local one-wheel homies and start formulating the plot, because group rides are really just super fun rolling parties with awesome one-wheeling people.
Cheers to that, dude.
Cheers, yeah. Ding, ding. Yeah, so I just want to talk about group rides a little bit. Yeah. So the next thing I want to talk about, which I want kind of, Jeff, you're going to be talking about most of this stuff, but we're in between the XR and the GT. People are transitioning over. We're still selling stuff for the XR. We have tons of plans for things in the works with the GT. We want to start getting some shit for the Pint X going. We got some plans. So I just thought maybe, Jeff, you might want to tell some people about a couple of the things that are in the pipeline, or maybe hint some stuff, and just kind of go over some of the things we know are coming out and some of the things that maybe you want to tease people about. But there's a lot going on in the world of TFL. So, Jeff, I hear about some tires, some potential tire ideas.
Yeah, we could talk tires. So that's what's kind of tricky about talking mods and updates and stuff, because So one thing that I learned very early on is you kind of almost have to be careful of how much info you put out, which sucks, man, because I would just want to share everything, but you kind of can't. So the thing that taught me that was like first ever product, float plates. So way back in the day, it was like there weren't a lot of mods for one wheels. I think you had like Rambo was making carbon fiber fenders, and I think Craft and Ride had just come out with like the original one tail. You remember that? It was like a skateboard deck cut in half that was bolted on the back, so it extended back. Like it still had the bottom concave on it, because I think it came out of a skateboard press. Mm-hmm. Like it's very, very early on in the one wheel game, right? And I was like, yeah, I want to nose slide this thing, and I'm thinking, hey, you know, it's just grinding on the rails, because back then the V1s were just straight up rails, right? It was You're grinding on aluminum, so it didn't slide very well. So I'm thinking like, oh, okay, Paul Schmidt back in the day with skateboards came out with Schmidt sticks. They're like UHMW bars that went on the side of your board so you could slide really well. We could bring the same thing to one wheel, so I tried little bar rails on it. That worked pretty good. I tried a full plate. That worked great. Long story short, float plates, right? So making the float plates, and I'm telling everyone everything online. I'm like, check these things out. Here's how I'm making them. Like, here's the screws I'm using. I'm going to countersink them here. Here's the cutout. And, you know, if anyone else wants some, I'll do a round of them. We'll make like 50 sets of them, because I think that's what came out of a sheet was like 44 sets or something. So I'm like, yeah, let's make them. And you know, we're going to launch this day. I don't remember what day it is, but we're going to have this day, you know, we're going to open to sales for them. And I had this one guy hitting me up before that, like a week or two before that, being like, oh, hey man, like, you know, I'm just going to make my own. And I'm like, that's cool. Yeah. Here's how I did it. And here's the screws that I use and everything. And, you know, have fun, good luck with it. And then the day before we were launching float plates, everyone knew we were launching float plates. The guy came out with like an exact knockoff clone of them and was like, oh, check it out. I'm making these things that I totally invented all by myself. And I'm like, hey man, like, remember you were asking me how to build these things? What are you talking about? These seem like a pretty exact copy of what I'm doing. And he's like, what are you talking about? I've never even heard of you before. Who are you? And I'm like, I have all these conversations of us talking and asking how to build these things. What what are you doing? Long story short, that guy's way out of the scene now. And
weren't they called Ass Glass too?
Yeah, he called him Ass Glass. It's kind of weird. But I don't. Long story short, it's like you got to be a little bit careful about like how much info you actually give out, because there are people that will kind of take your idea and run with it and claim it as their own. But it is what it is. But at the same time, it's like what we're doing here is just trying to make these things better. But we also have a little bit of a business to run, and we gotta make money to stay in business so we can keep making cool shit for them. So
yeah, totally.
There's that. What was the question? What's coming out? Tires. That's the question that we're talking about. Yeah, we got big plans for tires. I expected us to be a little bit further than where we are right now because we had a little bit of a hiccup, speed bump, shit hit the fan type production issues with Enduro, which was frustrating. So that kind of put a little bit of a speed bump there, but it seems like we're past that. We got our fresh shipment coming in tomorrow. Everything's dialed. We fixed it. So we're good to go there. So we're back on track.
Solid.
But yeah, we have plans for like 9 or 10 different tires. I think 10 right now is what we have plans for. So yeah, any type of tire you can think of, we kind of got plans for it. I got this really cool idea for like an off-road only tire. I think I told you about that one, right? With that special tread.
Yeah.
That is going to be wild, and I have no idea if it's going to work or not, but if
wild
we can pull
right.
it off. Wild is the key word right there. Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, basically, up until the Enduro, every single one-wheel tire was a go-kart tire, correct?
Correct. Yeah, and before that, there are existing tire molds that have been tweaked to like work better for one wheels, right? So it's like there's certain things that you can change in existing molds, and there's certain things that you can't change in existing molds. But we probably maybe would have kept up that same route of like, oh, the go-kart molds are already built, like let's just tweak those to work good. But we had a bit of a curveball thrown at us with the GT, where there's literally 0 molds that exist for that hub size, because a 6.5-inch hub size does not exist.
Yeah.
Like it literally doesn't exist in the world. It's impossible. So it's like you not only have to build a full custom mold to do that, you also have to build like full custom QC equipment for that too, because you have to build basically a custom hub that's 2-part that detaches so that every single tire that comes out of the mold, you can test fit, air up, set the bead, check everything, and then pull off. So it's like there's a lot of infrastructure that has to get built in order to do that, which was quite the mission, but we got it. We got it done. Hence why we run into speed bumps and stuff, because we had that big old curveball. But
handled it though.
Handled it. We're good. I'm about a month behind where I'd like to be, but
that's not too bad in the grand scheme of manufacturing and business.
In the grand scheme of things, it's not terrible, because like everything is delayed right now, which is super frustrating. But yeah, we're back on track. We're good to go. We got a couple prototypes that are actually showing up tomorrow that we get to test out.
Solid.
So that should be fun.
It's exciting.
Yeah. But yeah, we got plans to get some tires for these little guys. We got some more plans for XRs. We're not giving up on the XR because it's still my board of choice right now.
I bet some people will be excited to hear that.
Yeah. So yeah, XR is not dead. Keep that in mind. We're definitely still making a bunch of stuff for them. I got new varial stuff coming out. I just put in a fresh order for some new stuff that we haven't done before. What we're looking into for your little Bodie Pro model things going on. You know what I'm saying?
What did you say?
Yeah. So yeah, we got that stuff coming out. We got new growler stuff coming out that I'm pretty excited about. Yeah, some growler varials we're gonna do for sure. I wanted to do those earlier, but we're waiting until we can get a new growler tire, because as I'm sure you guys know, Burris kind of stopped making one-wheel tires, which was a bummer. Yeah. So, we don't have Trail Pro. We don't have Extra Rad anymore.
Street Pro died a long time ago.
Street Pro died a long time ago. I think we might still have 1 or 2 of them left, but it's okay, because, I've seen every time something seemingly bad happens, or, it's a challenge to go out and develop something new. Like if Burris wouldn't have completely dropped out on us, we probably would not have gone out and made our own tires.
We'd still be selling Trail Pros.
We'd still be slinging Trail Pros and like, hey, this works, Why innovate unless you get some sort of challenge and like reason to?
Absolutely.
So it's kind of a blessing in disguise that kind of stuff happens. So yeah, maybe we'll go out. Maybe we'll make freaking Trail Pro 2 or something like that. You know, maybe that'll happen.
Trail Pro 2.0.
2.0. Trail Pro 6.9. I don't know.
That'd be pretty funny. Burris just comes around like in a few months. Hey, you guys ready for some more tires? Like,
oh, yeah, that'd be cool. I'd do another run of Trail Pros if people wanted, but like I think we can improve on it.
Oh, 100%.
For sure.
Well, now after riding the Enduro, I don't really want to ride the Trail Pro. Like, it's a sweet tire, but it's definitely the Enduro tire has completely spoiled my feet and legs and brain and body.
Yeah, I mean, Trail Pro does have some awesome things about it, but it's also got some drawbacks. Like the edge hold isn't as good on it as it is on an Enduro. It's heavier than an Enduro, a little bit less torque off the line, but man, that thing through the high-speed chunk it'll hold, and it's got some bonkability. So
yeah, the volume on it's unreal.
The volume's pretty good on a Trail Pro, but then again, you start smashing through like that heavy chunk at 25 miles an hour, and you don't want volume.
Yeah,
you want the opposite of that. You want it to soak that up, because until we get suspension, it's like the tire and your knees are the only suspension you have.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I love the Enduro too, because your pressure can totally control like that, your volume of the tire. You know, like you firm that bitch up and that thing, Street King, bounce all over, bring her back down, just eats the trails. Yeah, dude, I'm excited for when we get some slick tires going again. I'm excited to get some slicks going. We've talked about, I'm trying to convince Jeff to do a slick 66, a 6-inch slick tire that's like hard compound.
Oh yeah, that's one of the protos that's coming in tomorrow.
Whoa, what?
Whoa, crazy.
Yo, gang, dude.
We still got to play with the compound.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It might just be terrible. Yeah. The idea might be totally terrible.
So interesting that you want a hard compound, because most people will not want a hard compound. So if you go with a hard compound, it's going to be a much harsher ride when you're riding. It's not going to be as smooth. It's not going to be as quiet. It's going to be louder. But you'll be able to nose slide like 100 miles.
Yeah.
And you'll be able to drift like Jake does across the whole entire floor back there. So that's like the one thing about the Vega that some people like, is that after 600 miles and you get it all broken in and it's like an okay tire at that point, that it's such a firm compound that you can just like really, really drift it, and you can nose slide forever on the thing. Like once you lock in, you just slide forever. But how many people are out here nose sliding? We're catering to like the 2% of people.
Hey,
right? Which
gotta take care of the freestyle niche, baby.
I'm down.
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. I definitely think there's a possibility that it might just feel like absolute shit. And like, yeah, okay, no slides, but it might feel bad. But I also think it might be awesome.
It might be. We'll play around with the compound. It's like when we were developing the Extra Rad too. It's like we went through a bunch of different compounds and like settled on a custom one that didn't really exist. So yeah, we'll play around with that compound a ton. And that's kind of the nice thing about doing our own tire. It's not like you're pulling teeth.
Right.
In order to really be like, oh, tweak this, change that. Let's dial this up, dial that down. Like, it's so much easier now to do that, which is really nice.
Yeah, because I mean, the goal is to create different feels, different opportunities of shred, different ways to set up your quiver. And I think we had the conversation at the pro panel at Camp Seek and Shred, talking about, hey, what if you could only do one upgrade, one change to your board? And everybody said either tire or bumpers. It was always tire bumpers, because for us freestylers and trail riders, the bumpers really save you for tail drags and nose slides. But I think one of the biggest changes you can make to your one wheel is your tire.
Yeah, I'd say tire, rails, foot pad, bumpers in that order would be my.
Yeah, especially when you're talking rails like dubs or the FAFs or the lifts or lowers, because those really do definitely change the feel of the board.
Yeah, big time. I ride dubs on everything. I'm just WTF everything. Yeah,
dub man until I die. Well, you did come up with it, dude.
It's just comfy for me. Yeah. I mean, it's got great angles on it. I've got a tilt in mine. You know, a lot of folks like Neil ride no tilt. Jesse rides no tilt. Yep. I mean, Jesse kicked my ass at Dirt Surfers no tilt. Yeah. He just smoked me. So, yeah, it just depends on what you like. But I just think, like, the ergonomics of it are way more comfortable.
Yeah.
You don't lose any clearance. It's way more stable. Mm-hmm. Like, when I ride straight rails or anything, like, any sort of lift on it, it feels so sketch to me.
Yeah, you always get on, you're like, wow,
yeah,
what the fuck is this?
Nah.
Well, what are we looking at on time, Mr. Colton?
We're at 28 minutes.
28 minutes.
Not
It's only been 28 minutes?
Yeah.
Wow.
Not bad.
Well, boys, let's carry on. So I thought about maybe talking about the foot pad recall.
Okay.
And just kind of what do you think is causing the issue with their front foot pads? Do you have a theory?
I'll tell you exactly what's causing the issue.
Yeah.
Yeah,
hit me
100%. So let's take a little trip down memory lane as far as front foot pad sensors go. So originally, like way back in the day, they had a button. Right. It was a button on your board. Like it literally looked like the button on that Street Fighter machine over there. But it was metal, I'm pretty sure. And you had to step on that button with your foot, and it was only one button. And it was so sketchy because if you turned too hard, your foot would come off the button, your board would just shut off. Right. So obviously that's not like ideal at all. But that was a pre-production prototype before the Kickstarter boards started shipping. So then Kickstarter boards came out and they started their full production run, and those were all dual zone sensors on the V1 that were about this thick going across the board. And I don't know if you remember how bad those sensors were, but like tricks and riding one wheels on like bonks and stuff was so sketchy. Super sketchy. So like I remember you drop off something as big as this couch to the ground, and if your board stayed on, you were pumped. Yeah. It was so sketch. And like bonks straight didn't exist. It like wasn't a thing.
No, not yet.
You know, and so that was not the greatest sensor. And then they came out with the Sure Stance foot pads. And well, actually before that, people started modding foot pads to have dual sensors like that so that it was twice the size. So I remember there was that going on. There was like someone modded like an old school one tail, and then someone modded a Cush, but it was always like there were two zones on it, so it was twice as big. So I think Future Motion saw that was happening, and they also, through them riding them and everyone riding them, realized, okay, we need a bigger sensor because people are falling off this one. It's turning off. It's not super reliable. So they came out with Sure Stance. And then Sure Stance is a much larger sensor. It covers almost the whole entire thing. Still split into two zones. They've got that patent on the two zone thing, so I don't think they're ever changing over from the two zone. But two zone is the whole entire thing, and it ran great. It ran perfect. There were still ghosting issues on that. Yeah, let's be clear. There have always been boards ghosting as far as one wheels have existed. This is not a new thing with GT. No. So I remember my V1 ghosted and hit some stuff and shattered back in the day.
Mine shot across my street and almost took out my neighbor.
Yeah, I remember V1s used to ghost kind of often, if I can remember correct. But also, this was back when they told us they were totally waterproof. Yeah. All their ads were like riding through the ocean and the beach and like sand. The first Race for the Rail. There's actually a water feature that you would ride through, right? Like this, you would go up and ride through like this deep puddle, like you're a Jeep or something, and then go down the other side, like. They were waterproof, right? And I thought they were too. I used to ride them through puddles deep as my ankles, and I was like, no, they're waterproof. I used to be done riding and hose my whole board off every single time and be like, oh yeah, and then leave it outside to dry. Like that's just what it was. And then after all my boards got water damage, I was like, I'm gonna quit doing that. I don't even ride if there's rain in the forecast now.
Yeah, no, fuck that.
Yeah. So ghosting has always kind of been a thing, but there got to a certain point on the XR where they're like, okay, I think we need to dial back sensitivity a little bit because these boards are ghosting, more often than we would like. I wouldn't say it's a common thing, but it could happen. And it could happen for a bunch of different reasons. You could have hit a rock, damaged your foot pad, now it's pinching and it ghosts. A common reason that I have seen happen is on a grip tape change, if you don't do it right, and there's a bubble in your grip tape, that bubble gets progressively smaller and smaller and smaller the more you ride it because you're putting pressure on it. And at a certain point, that air pressure inside of that bubble causes it to stick. Mm-hmm. And then your board can ghost. So I've seen that happen. I think that's kind of the more common way that things ghost. So eventually they're like, okay, these things are, activating more than we would like them to. They're ghosting a little bit. So they made them a little bit less sensitive. And I'm pretty sure the way that they did that was adding an extra layer of plastic over the Sure Stance foot pad. and that caused them to be a lot less sensitive. And I think just anecdotally that it helped a lot when it came to the boards ghosting, because it seemed like there were far fewer people reporting it.
Yeah.
At least that's just what I saw online. I don't know how true that is. We don't have data on that kind of stuff.
But this is by like plus XR time, right?
Yeah. This is XR time for sure.
Yeah. So then, for sure, the ghosting.
Because like early XRs, like 4206, 7, 8, I think even 9. I think it was around maybe 10, 4210 they started doing it.
They did the plastic.
Around then.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm really bad memory, so don't take anything that I say as gospel, because I probably have it wrong. But the early ones, they were just regular sensitivity. And so then they ended up adding that extra layer of plastic. You saw a lot of people online were like, my board doesn't activate like I would like all the time. And everyone's like, oh, take that extra layer of plastic off and it works great again. Mm-hmm. Right. So that was a whole thing that happened. And then on the pint as well, a lot of people, including myself, like, I can't ride that thing in my normal skate shoes because it straight up won't turn on for me. Like, even posied, it's kind of tricky for me to ride. If pints aren't posied, I straight up cannot ride them in my skate shoes. Like, I have to wear boots or something with a hard sole. So, so they made them less sensitive. And the internet has been screaming about, like, oh, it doesn't activate, it's not sensitive enough. And like, people are putting little furniture pads on there so it'll activate, and everyone's complaining. So Future Motion sees this and they're like, okay, let's make them more sensitive because everyone's complaining that they don't activate right. And they're like having to put furniture pads on them. So like when the GT comes out, we'll just make the foot pad more sensitive so that people will be happy with it and they won't be complaining about this. And when they did that, I think they might have overshot it just a little bit and made them a little bit too sensitive. And that, in conjunction with doing this whole entirely new sensor design with the concave, like, I think those two things kind of combined into being the perfect storm. And then we're back to having boards ghost more than they would like. Right. And they said it affected what, like 5% of their boards, something like that?
I think that was what they had said.
Yeah, I can't remember 5%. What the email said or what the official recall was, but
they went for a full recall.
They went for a full voluntary recall, which is like a legal nightmare. I don't know a ton about that, but I do know that it's an absolute legal nightmare, and like the lawyers basically run the show on like what you can say, what you can't say, what you have to do, what you can't do, and all that. So I'm sure they wanted to share like way more information with the community on like what's going on, but they probably are just handcuffed when it comes to legal stuff. Cause that's like a no joke legal move that you have to do, that like all your T's crossed, all your I's dotted, totally dialed in. So they probably wanted to do a lot more with like explaining what's going on, but just probably couldn't.
Right.
Yeah. So, so that's my guess at what happened with.
How much money do you think they lost on that?
A good amount. I mean, you have to take into account not only all of the parts they had to reship, but also all the shipping, all the time, all the QC process changes that they had to do. With their update, their firmware update, they changed some sensitivity settings, I believe. And then they also had to change the sensitivity settings on the foot pad itself. They probably had to rush a lot of stuff. So yeah, there was probably a ton of that. And not only that, but then you've got like the knock to their brand and their reputation, which, you know, you can't even really put a price on that. But anytime you screw up something or like don't nail something perfect, like you kind of get a knock on your brand. Like when we had those production issues with Enduro, it's like you're going to get a knock on your brand, like regardless of how well you try to fix it. And you can only do so much. So yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's possible to put a number on it, but I would imagine it's quite hundreds expensive. Of thousands of dollars. Yeah. It's not cheap. And then you've got all the international stuff you have to deal with as well.
Right.
And then you probably have to fix a bunch that may or may not be affected.
Right.
Just to be safe. And then you've got to pay your attorneys a ton of money, because I'm sure that's not cheap. So yeah, it wasn't cheap for them. It was a bit of a miss, which is a bummer, but it seems like they're doing everything to make it right. So I can't knock them at all for that.
Yeah, definitely. I was so surprised when I first saw that email where it was like the full recall. I was like, oh my gosh. I haven't seen that. We haven't seen that from One Wheel or any One Wheel, any PEV, anything. It's really way more in the automotive world.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know too much about EUCs, but I think there were some issues with EUCs catching on fire, where like one of the big manufacturers might have done a recall or done like hey, stop riding it until we can fix it or something. I do remember something like that happening, but I don't know. If you guys know EUC type stuff, leave it in the comments maybe.
Yeah, let us know.
I'm not sure.
Let us know.
Yeah.
Let us in on that atmosphere. That
not
realm.
my area of expertise.
Not our area.
Not that I have one.
Well, speaking of our area of expertise, one more little thing we could chat about briefly before we head out is content and film and filming. We just saw a sick film. I don't know about you. I'm super inspired.
What did we watch?
Scumline.
Oh, Scumline was awesome. Yeah,
we just saw a really awesome West Coast wakeboard film by some of Jeff's homies.
Shout out Trevor Maurer, did a killer job on that. Yeah,
absolutely crushed.
For anyone that doesn't know, my wife Raquel, she was professional wakeboarder back in the day. Really good too, like
world champion.
Yeah,
actually.
like won worlds in Korea one year. She's got 7s on lock, like almost whipped a 9 around on the boat before she blew her knee out, and had the baby, which isn't super helpful for your wakeboarding career. No, she totally rips. Raquel, you're awesome. I love you. You're great. Yeah, but she's all plugged in with the wakeboard community, and I am not really a huge fan of wakeboarding behind boats because it's so gnarly. It's so gnarly. There's like everyone blows their knees and their shoulders. Raquel's like blown 2 knees and blown her shoulders out. Like her shoulder falls out all the time because of it. Cable wakeboarding is a whole other story. That's super fun.
Hella fun.
Super fun.
Yeah.
But
there's
behind
some cable
boats,
clips in the flick.
Yeah, behind a boat's just so gnarly. But yeah, Scumline was awesome. It's got a ton of winch, a lot of boat, a little bit of cable.
Yep.
Yeah, that was fun. Did it get you inspired to
dude, it's got me so hyped. It was one of those like length? Bangers. Yeah. It's got me real inspired to do another full length, and our next full length is gonna be fucking unreal, dude. But so this film was one of those where it started out with these like super sick sunset, like backlit silhouette slow-mo shots from the back of these guys just blasting fatty wakeboard tricks with like, he did a little voiceover too in the beginning, right?
He did a voiceover.
Some narration.
Yep.
He was like all dramatic and narrated, and then just dropped in everybody's super hammer parts. And it got me excited for our next full length, because I think the next one, Julian and I both have ideas for films that we want to do that are kind of in that realm of Julian's way more so than mine.
What do you mean?
So next year's full length feature will definitely be like skate film vibes. We're gonna have strong video parts, and I think my idea for the next one is, instead of having video parts for each person, doing video parts per location.
Yeah, we talked about this. So I think it's a great idea. I think we definitely do a travel movie instead of doing like an opening where it's like your part,
right.
Because we had Socially Distant was our first full length, and then we had A New Normal, and those were both very similar, where it's like fun opening, and then we've got this person's part, this person's part, this person's part, this person's part, montage of a few people's parts, and then like banger closer part. But you want to do like more of a travel video where it's like, hey, we went to Austin and we went and filmed the whole entire part in Austin. We flew, Float Goat out there and Kyle Hansen out there, and This is the Austin part. And then we did another like Pacific Northwest part where it was like all trails.
And Bentonville one after one of the events. Yeah.
And I like that because it sort of follows in the footsteps of snowboarding a lot too. And skateboarding did this more recently, but I feel like it's sort of like old school surf films used to do that.
Yeah.
But I wasn't much of a surfer and didn't really watch surf films too much growing up. So for me, where that sort of came into play was snowboarding, because everyone was always the same formula, right? Fun opening, video part, and then that's it, roll credits, right? Yeah. And then MacDog came out with From Blank with Love. And I don't know if this might be way before your time because I'm an old man. But they came out with that, which was like the first ever travel movie, I think. And it wasn't just straight parts. It was like, oh, we're in Russia now. And then it's just like a whole entire Russia part. And then it's like, oh, we're going to Park City. And then it's like a whole Park City part. So I think that would be super rad. And I think one wheeling lends itself really well to doing something like that, because every single, like, you've traveled the U.S. one wheeling before. It's like every single part kind of has a different flavor and a different vibe. You know what I mean? It's like you go out to Arkansas, you go out to Bentonville, and it's just like trails. Just like gnarly trails is what we ride here. And then like you go to LA and it's like, yo, we ride street here. And it's just like super sick street features there. And so, yeah, I think that would be really cool to do a video like that. I think we gotta go visit Jake's spot out in New York.
Gotta hit New York
for that.
Gotta hit Miami.
Gotta hit Miami.
Yeah. Everybody's telling us to come out to Miami.
That's it. Yeah, and if you guys can think of any other spots we should like definitely go, leave it down in the comments. Let us know, because we are building the schedule.
Yes, sir.
Right now, trying to figure out travel plans for next year.
Yes, sir.
So yeah, I think that'd be really fun. Maybe even a couple of the big events have video parts for the events. Like, I think that'd be a great way to like tell the one wheel story through travel.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I want to see more one wheel edits and videos and storylines, and like, you know, one wheeling is the new kid on the block. It's the new board sport, and it can have kind of a kooky optics to it for some people, but more so importantly, there is a core community of us that want this content and want to see it and want to wake up in the morning with a new banger on and watch it and get stoked to go out and ride. So I really want to see more edits from more other riders. There's some really strong riders coming up in the scene that's been really, really cool to see, and I definitely am excited to see more of you guys come out with more video parts and more edits. And I want to say right here on this pod, if you got sweet one wheel videos and you want them to be featured on the TheFloatLife, hit us up. Send us your videos.
Send them to Bodie. Don't send them to me. Flood his inbox.
Send me your videos and let's talk. All right, y'all? Because, yeah, man, I think one of the things that Trevor said at the video premiere is that films and videos are really important for the culture of our sport and for the growth of our sport. They set a bar and they create something for the youth and the groms and the new riders to look up to and to strive towards, and it creates something. Anytime I see one of the other guys, especially FloatGo or Kyle, come out with a line or a part or a video, it inspires the hell out of me. It makes me want to go outside and ride, and that is really important. And it does take a lot of time, and sometimes with certain films it ends up taking a lot of money, and for all the videos that we make, it takes a lot of pain. We totally eat shit all over the place, but all that goes into these films, and that's what comes across the screen, and that's the energy that's put out into the world and into our sport. And so that's one of the main reasons why we be doing what we're doing. And we've got, Julian and I both have projects in mind that we want to shoot and finish up by the end of this year, and then we've got our full length for next year that we're going to get going. We've got things are going to be kind of switching around and changing coming into this next year. We've had a really awesome year of experimenting and trying things and come up with ideas, and 2023,
that is what next year is. Yes,
is gonna be freaking legit, dude. I'm excited. Lige, what do you have to say about one wheel content?
I would say one wheel content is on a slow progression to becoming better. And
facts.
On the scale of like films wise, that's something, you know, I get fascinated by films, like BMX, mountain bike, surf, anything that requires something in which you're moving your body in a really cool physical way, extreme athletics, you know. Mm-hmm. That stuff is just so appealing to my brain, especially when it's stuff's like well thought out, or like you see someone throw down like something you've never seen before. You're like, what the heck? How? Like, it's like you said, inspiring. It makes you definitely want to either go out and ride if you love riding, or being a filmer, you want to go capture some similar content. Like this one film inspired me, but I don't even know how I would even make it one wheel-esque. But there's a video that DC put out about a dude who rode a dirt bike into the ocean. Yeah. And it starts, intro sequence is like he's ripping through a river, and it's like tracking him sideways, like all hectic and crazy, and then he just beelines into the middle of the water, and you're like, what the hell? And then they have all these like crazy shots, like a shot underneath, and the tread goes over the camera, and then like all of a sudden, homie just like takes a wave on a dirt bike.
Wait,
and
does he have like a water ski attached to it or something?
Dude, he's got this like
There's
plate
like a sled
underneath
around his front tire.
Yeah, and then the back tire is like this thick like
it's a paddle tire.
Paddle tire. It's the most ridiculous video I've ever seen in my life. He literally catches a wave on a dirt bike.
It's insane.
But it's so well made.
No, I don't think I've seen
we're gonna
that.
show you this.
Oh, throw it up on the green screen. Let's watch it.
Yeah, hopefully this works. We don't even know if this works yet. Put it up on the green screen, Colton.
But no, that video just like when I saw it, I was like, holy shit! Like, how do we make something? How do we do this like with one wheel? Obviously, you can't ride a one wheel in the ocean.
We don't have Red Bull money.
Yeah,
are you kidding me? That video
Yeah,
probably
that
cost
Red Bull
$150 grand to make.
Hey, we're dreaming. One day.
Fair enough.
No, we are. I mean, my personal.
I just
goal,
want Dirt 2.
Yeah, dude.
I just want Dirt 2. That's what I want. If
It's
you guys
going
haven't
down.
seen Dirt yet, go to One Wheel's official channel. Look
Go
up
watch
Dirt.
that right now.
It
The
is
Dirt
hard.
2, we're gonna actually slide those rails more than just the one down barrel.
Yeah, I can't believe you guys put your body through that. Those are such gnarly features.
That project beat me up, dude. But Dirt 2 is coming out, man. But what I was about to say is that my personal goal, there's a lot I want to do with the world, but like if I had to pick what my personal goal is I want to be one of, if not the greatest extreme sport content creators in the world. I want to be able to roll up to any sport that's creative, extreme, and rad, and be able to capture the vibes and capture the gnarliness and capture that athlete's style and vibe. And what we're doing here, the growth we're having here, the projects we're putting together here is what's, leading us on that path. So what I'm getting at is if you think our videos are sick now, you have no idea what you're in store for over the next few years, what's going to be rolling out and going down on this YouTube channel and through our cameras.
That sounded like a really expensive elevator pitch for you to get new cameras and gear. Is what that sounded like.
No, dude, we got the cameras.
Every time Bodie comes to me, he's like, Jeff, I got this idea. What's my answer?
Is this going to cost me money?
That's my first question, because always like, oh, I'm telling you, bro, DJI just came out with this new drone.
We need this.
We need it. We have to have it. We literally cannot do our job without it.
Oh, these R5s be overheating, son.
Yeah, the last two cameras, we don't even work anymore. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Yep.
Not to mention, it's like we get all this crazy expensive camera gear, and it's like, all right, let's go 25 down a rocky trail holding it and see what happens.
That's part of the thrill,
That's
though.
what it takes,
That's
bro.
like one of my favorite things.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
part of the thrill.
Holding
Yeah.
the camera, bombing down
About
the
a
camera.
body, my body for the camera. That's what I'm always thinking.
Oh, dude, I've hit the ground so many times trying to protect the camera.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The camera is like the baby. You got to have the tech, as you're riding, you're always got to be prepared for the protection.
What I can't believe is after all those years of smashing with a camera, and by the way, you're keeping up with the fastest guys in the world. Like, check out A New Normal, the dirt section, where you filmed Austin and Neil and Dave and Thor and like all these crazy fast guys. You're riding just as fast, if not faster than them, while carrying a full camera. You have never broken a camera while falling, but you've left cameras like underneath golf cart tires that get run over and shit like that. Like, it's crazy to me that you never break the cameras doing this gnarly stuff.
Yeah. But I'll leave it on the side of the road and let it get run over.
That's how it goes.
So far, track record's pretty dang solid. But yeah, dude, that is definitely one thing that I will humble brag about is I am one of the fastest one-wheel filmers on the planet, and I love that. One day, maybe it'll get me some jobs, but I was thinking about it. Like, I used to think it was more useful in the cinema world than it is, because once I started filming it more, I realized, like, if you really wanted to get the shot like that, you would put a camera on a gimbal on a bike. You know what I mean?
Like a bicycle or like a Suron?
Like an electric bike. Yeah, there's like other ways to rig up a camera other than one wheeling, but there is some shots that you probably could only get filming it on a one wheel, and then hopefully the person that needs that shot in the future knows I'm the guy for it.
Fair enough.
Yeah, But hey, I feel like this is a good opportunity for us to wrap this episode up. I hope it wasn't too bad for you, Mr. Jeff. I think you're an excellent podcaster.
Hey, thanks, man.
I don't see why you don't want to do it.
I'm just checking the time because it's lunch, and I brought a sandwich today. I'm pretty excited about it.
Well, Mr. Jeff, thank you for joining me. Mr. Elijah, thank you for joining me. Viewer, thank you for joining us. We're going to do a ton more of these episodes because Jeff's loved it, and it's going to be super sick. And if you enjoyed it, please make sure you let us know with a little like and a little comment. Let us know maybe some topics you'd like us to tackle and cover in the future. We're always down for constructive feedback, so let us know what you think. And we love you guys. We're going to keep on keeping on and bringing you as much content and rad products as we possibly can. This is your host, Bodie Harrison, signing out from the podcast that we still haven't named yet. It's probably down below us at this point. Float on, my friends.
And before we go, I feel like we should do one quick shout out to like our predecessor podcasts that have like been carrying the torch and like blazing and stuff, right? Like
that's facts.
Shout out to the OG podcast, which
Voice
was
of One
Voice of One
Wheel.
Wheel, Adam Carluccio and Belly.
Shout out Loose Dog and Belly.
They're great. They're great. You know, you've got
shout out to Scott Mendenhall.
Doing
for the Mendenhall and Friends podcast.
Yep. You've got Pushback Army is doing a great job. Their production value is super high.
Yep.
So congrats on that. And then Future Motion's doing their thing now too.
Future Motion's podding too.
Yeah. So we got some pods out there. We appreciate you guys choosing ours. That's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And sorry to kill your outro there, bud. But
nah, dude.
Yeah.
Bring it back.
You know,
for the homies.
You gotta put some respect on those names. You know?
Absolutely. And hey, we're not out here to take over, do nothing like that. We're just joining a voice to the crowd, y'all. We're just here to talk one wheel. And shout out Loose Dog, shout out Scott, shout out Pushback Army boys, Caleb, and I'm ousting myself for not knowing the other homie's name right now. Colton, cut this part out, please.
You're not gonna cut it.
All right, y'all. Over and out. Float on or whatever.
Or whatever. This guy. All right. See you guys. Thanks.
Yeah.